Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and hope you're doing well. And today I'm back with another make your own rulings video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and today's topic is going to be about actually Myo Mashup related, but it features a character that's in both games. It's going to be Multiman, the beloved shapeshifter. I'm going to be explaining how he works, how he interacts with the various characters in the game, and how his ability can be kind of turned off in certain ways, and how he turns back to his normal self, and all the topics you want to know. I get a lot of comments about him, a lot of questions, and hopefully I'll answer them all in this one convenient video. To start off, let's discuss what Multiman himself does. He's a 5-cost character, shapeshifter. His attack and defense are unknown, and he has an on-play effect that allows you to choose a character in play except this one. And this character copies the attack, defense, type, and abilities of the chosen character as long as this character remains on the field. Put another way, you simply choose either one of your characters or one of your opponent's characters, and Multiman basically becomes a clone of that character. Now, to give a little example of how he works, so we'll just illustrate a simple combo with him. This is a combo you can perform if you get the Small Fry Invasion starter deck, as both of these cards are in that deck. So if you have a King Small Fry on the board, you can use Multiman to copy him, and he'll basically Multiman will turn into a 4/4 Small Fry character. And whenever Multiman will attack, he'll get +X/+0 until the end of the turn, where X is the total attack among the other small fry you control. And other small fry you control get +0/+1. So Multiman will have both of those abilities. And this can be pretty useful. Having a King Small Fry and a Multiman copying King Small Fry can basically turn both of them into 8/5s instead of just 4/4s. It's pretty useful in that sense. Now, there are a couple types of abilities that Multiman cannot copy, and those are mainly going to be on-play abilities. Since Multiman has to be played to use his ability, he's not going to be able to copy certain on-play effects. Illustrate a couple of examples. You got cards like Delta Warrior Arrow here, who has an on-play effect that lets you return an opposing character and all its attached cards to the owner's hand. Multiman will copy the card, the 2/1 stat line, and the evasive, but Multiman will not copy the bounce effect. So if your opponent has a Delta Warrior Arrow on the field, and then you play your Multiman to copy the arrow, you won't be able to get the bounce effect. Similar story with Delta Warrior Raylum. Even though this is explicitly an on-play effect, it is an effect that is triggered when Raylum is played from its owner's hand. So if you go to copy the Raylum, you won't be able to use that effect, as Multiman is already on the field after it is copied, so that effect will not trigger. And also, in case you were wondering, if your opponent has if you play a Destiny, you use its effect to play a Multiman to copy your Destiny, you're not going to get the additional bonus effect from the Destiny effect on your other Multiman. Nice try though. Now, next comes a question I get asked a lot, and that has to do with what happens when the character that Multiman is copying leaves the field. What happens to the Multiman himself? Well, nothing really, because Multiman's already copied the character, so Multiman will just stay that copy until Multiman itself leaves the field. That's when things start to change. So, like, if your opponent has a Destiny on their field, and that Destiny is taken out, Multiman will still be a copy of it. What really changes is when Multiman leaves the field. If it goes to the discard pile, or if it goes back to your hand or back into your deck, then it will revert back to the normal Multiman status, where you can use its ability again to copy something else. But now we get into some interesting types of effects when Misfortune is introduced. Delta Warrior Misfortune has an ability that states other characters in play in each player's hand and in each player's discard pile have no abilities while this character remains in play. So, if you have Multiman on the field, and your opponent then plays a Delta Warrior Misfortune to try to turn off the Multiman's ability, the only thing that really happens is that the abilities that Multiman was copying get turned off. Multiman will still retain the stats and type of whatever it copied. What really changes if your opponent has a copy of Misfortune on the field when you go to play your Multiman. So let's say your opponent has their Delta Warrior Misfortune in play, and then you go to play your Multiman. Its ability is not going to be able to go off. So what happens to Multiman's stat line here? It's a question mark, question mark. So, well, what happens is if a character's attack and defense are unknown, they will default to 0/0. So basically, if you happen to play a Multiman while Delta Warrior Misfortune is on the field, then Multiman will revert to a 0/0 and not have its ability trigger. So you'll be stuck with the 0/0. And if that Misfortune happens to leave the field, nothing also happens either. Multiman will still remain the 0/0 because the ability goes off when it enters play. It's not an automatic thing where you have to choose a new target. It only happens when Multiman enters the field do you get to clone something. And I think that about does it for all the topics surrounding Multiman that I wanted to cover today. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this return to the Myo Weird Rulings series, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other videos like this. And if you want to get Multiman and some of these other cards for yourself, I'll have a link in the description to my GameCrafter store page where you can pick up some cards for yourself. In fact, if you want to get a copy of Multiman himself, he's in the starter deck Small Fry Invasion if you want to get your hands on him. Until next time, I'll see you in my next video, and I hope you take care.